Hey guys, my name is Brendan Berg, and I was basically just making this video to document my journey through being an enumerator for the 2020 United States Census. I've seen a couple videos out there, some even made back in 2010 and some even made a few months ago. And I just kind of wanted to document my journey through it, and so I can look back on it and see how it is, but also to kind of give some hope and ease some nerves for some other people who may be looking to do it. To get into my story, really, I found this job opportunity initially about a month or two ago. It was on my friend's Snapchat. He had an iPhone, and it had the Census Bureau logo on it and government property. I'm like, why the heck does your iPhone have that on there? And he said, oh, no, it's not my iPhone. I'm working for the census. And, I kind of just had a brief conversation with him, just talked about how it was. Really wasn't much, just saying, you like it, how's it pay, stuff like that. But, I really didn't give it much thought until actually about a month or so after that. Again, I don't really remember the time frame. I was just looking for a job, did delivery, auto parts delivery for 1-800-Radiator, and was on a job site. I believe it was Indeed, and actually a few weeks before that, I was kind of curious on it and seeing if maybe there were any census jobs in my area, which is Delaware, and there weren't. But that particular day, when I was looking on Indeed, it came up, and it was actually posted that day. So I jumped on it right away, filled in the applications and such of that nature. After I filled in the application, put all my information in, I got a call from, I believe it was the Wilmington office, asking me if I wanted to do the job, giving me a job offer. And they basically explained what your pay would be, kind of a brief rundown of how it would go, saying, hey, you're going to go around your area, your neighborhood, go to houses and ask about who lives there. And again, I already knew that's what the job was, but I accepted it over the phone, which I think it was only like 3 days after I filled out the application that I actually heard back from the Wilmington office. So after that, it was basically just you filled out some information on the website. Again, after you received a login, because you had to make one when, like, sort of in the process of the employment application. And so after a job offer was given, which again was over the phone, you had to fill out forms, employment information, and stuff of that nature. Like, I believe it was maybe some, like, trying to remember what exactly it was. I think it was like basically identification and stuff of that nature. And then you basically schedule a fingerprinting place. So they have to get your fingerprints, and they had to do an FBI background check on you, because they want to make sure that you are who you are. Again, you take 2 forms of identification. You did your fingerprints, which this was all done at a local hotel in Newark. So that was probably scheduled maybe a week after I was given the job. So that was all scheduled in, went in there, did the fingerprinting, had my 2 forms of identification, which was my driver's license and my social security card. That all went smoothly. And so then it was another, waiting game, which again was only a few days afterwards. After you did the fingerprinting, I believe that's when the forms were available online, which was how you're going to get paid, like equal opportunity employment, just basic onboarding forms, which had to be completed if you wanted to do the job. And so after that was completed, I then had to receive a phone call, which today's September 2nd, and I believe it was just yesterday that I got a call from, again, the Wilmington office, and they said, hey, we're going to be scheduling your training tomorrow, which, I mean, it was kind of odd. Like, it was really just, you know, like really right before the day, saying, hey, we're going to have this tomorrow from 9 a.m., so which is today, from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. You know, can you do it on that day? And I said, yeah, that's great, I can do that. So that's when I went to a little meeting place right outside of Stanton. It's near Christiana Hospital, that's where it was. And we went in there, and there was, I'd say, maybe 8 other people. I was the youngest, but there was 8 other people. We did we went in there, we sat, we filled out forms that we needed to, like W-4s, and, you know, again, just basic forms that you need to fill out, making sure that we got the right identification, you know, who was supposed to be there, was supposed to be there, and stuff like that. All went well. I'm not going to go into full detail of what they give, because you know, if you do get accepted for a job, or you are going through this process, you kind of understand. Again, this was just like, I'm making this video only a few hours after my training ended, so I haven't actually been out in the field to know how it was. But at the training, you know, you're basically getting set up, you're given the stuff that you need to when you get out in the field, and then you're also going to be doing some training at home as well. But the good thing is your training, which I had today in person, is paid, and depending on your pay grade, that's, you know, you can figure out how much it is per hour, and how much you're going to be paid for that day. And then afterwards, so you're not paid for the mileage there, but you're paid for the mileage back to your house, because when you go there, you're not currently an employee until okay, so we did the oath too. That was one thing, we swore our oath, and then we became an official government employee. But basically there, I guess I'll go through some of the materials that you'll be getting if you continue on. They give us an iPhone 8. The current carrier that we use is AT&T. You can change it to put your personal passcode in, because they're all password protected. And this basically just has the apps and stuff that you're going to be using, whether that's for training, or if that is for you out in the field. It has Google Maps, which, you know, you can use when you want to put in your addresses for the people you're going to go to. FTC training, which is basically a mock of the field data capture official one, which is the blue one. The blue one's what you're going to be using, and the maroon one is training. And another part of the training that I went to, you have to sign into that application right there, which is the hub. That's basically something that you're going to sign in from the get-go, because you're also going to get a DAID, which is basically so the census knows who you are. They also give you an employee ID, but I was told that you don't really ever use that. You mostly use your DAID, which for us starts with DAFA, and then it's some numbers, but I'm not going to give mine out. And then a cool thing is you get a badge. So you get a badge, which needs to be shown at all times when you're out in the field, and it comes with a lanyard too. Again, that has to be shown at all times, so people know who you are, and they make sure, hey, make sure it's flipped around. This is also another thing, is when you're at the fingerprinting place, they also take a picture of you. So it's, you know, think of it as like a driver's license. You're not going to be smiling or nothing like that. You're not going to look like some superstar. So you get, again, they suggest that you write your DAFA, which again is how they identify you, which is going to be used for all your logins, on the back of your identification, which it's on the back of your identification. They also put in a business card, which is basically which contains the census worker comp hotline. So you can just, write information, which it's actually suggested that you write your username on the back of this so you can quickly refer to it. And then you also want to write your ACO on the back of this as well. The ACO is basically your home base for the census, the home office that you are connected to. My ACO is 2356, which is based out of Wilmington, Delaware, because we have our offices in Wilmington. So you get your badge, which is this, and you get your phone, which has a serial number on it, which you'll see at your training. Everything is marked. Everything is marked. This has a serial number on it, so they know exactly who has it, exactly, it needs to come back how it was given to you. A few of the other things they give to you in it. This was actually the box that the phone came in. The kit number, they want to make sure that that kit number, which is 10125788, which again matches to the serial number on the back of the phone that you're given. This contains all of the goodies for your phone. So when I initially opened this up, the iPhone was right there. And then when you pull this open, it contains accessories for the phone. So again, in your training, you're gonna mark this all, with a check mark. All this is done, sheets of paper, so they make sure you're getting the right stuff. They make sure it's going to the right person. They make sure you have everything that you need. At least this is in my case. I've heard of some people, unfortunately, where the training wasn't very thorough or there wasn't a lot of communication, which I hope that's not the case for you, but at least here in Delaware, it went fine, or in Newcastle County, because in Delaware we have 3 counties. So some of the accessories that it includes are a phone charger, which you plug into your 12-volt converter into your phone or in your car, and this contains 2 USB ports. And then you are given an iPhone charger, which has a piece of plastic around it, as you can see. I'm really not sure what the point of that is, and they were also very stern on making sure that that piece of plastic was not broken, and if it was, to mark it down. I'm not sure why. And then you're also given headphones too. They're not to listen to music or something, and somebody actually asked, what do you need headphones for if the stuff is going to be done on the phone when you're in the field, you're going to be talking to people, what do you need them for? And I think really the only reason you would need them is if you want to talk on the phone, and some people prefer or can hear better with the earbuds. You're also given a pen, at least I was, and like I said earlier, our carrier is AT&T, which the SIM card is already installed in the phone, so you don't have to worry about it, but I assume this is where the SIM card was. So this is the kit that the phone comes in. You want to make sure that everything is in there, that you have everything that you need. It is cool that they get to use, or that we get to use an iPhone, because again, this is my first time doing it. The last time they did it, because I do a census every 10 years, was in 2010. Obviously, yeah, iPhones were around, but technology wasn't as advanced as it was, at least with phones. So they're very persistent on telling you, when you get this, which is basically this is your lifeline right here. If you're an enumerator, you're going to be doing some of your training on the phone, not all of it. Most of the online training you actually have to do on your personal device that they suggest. Not because I guess they don't trust you or something with the phone. It's actually better suited for laptops, and I don't believe they give you laptops. At least the sheet had an option as if they were to give you a laptop, but I don't think they're really doing that. They just give you the phone. Again, treat this as your lifeline if you're an enumerator, because you're going to be using it all the time. You have to set up your own voicemail on here, which they actually give you an aid for what you should do with the phone. They tell you that you have to do a personal voicemail greeting, which says, "Hello, you have reached," and then you put your name from the United States Census Bureau. "Please leave your name and number, and I'll return your call as soon as possible." So you have to change your voicemail on the phone. They give you a whole guide on, like, you know, what you should do with the phone. Obviously, you're not going to be using social media on it. You shouldn't make any personal calls with it. The contacts that you should put in here are your field supervisors and stuff of that, which I haven't been assigned a supervisor, but the people at the training were supervisors, so they obviously knew what they were talking about, but they're not personally not the supervisor for the group that I was with. That was just to do the training. You can connect it to your home Wi-Fi, which works a lot better. Again, I have AT&T. Personally, my personal phone has Verizon. I haven't dealt with AT&T before. So far, it's been okay. But at my house, I connected it to Wi-Fi. So like I said, treat this as a business phone. You don't want to be playing games on it, taking pictures. They tell you a couple times that your location on this phone is going to be tracked at all times. So, you know, whether you're out working or whatever the case may be, you take a picture, anything like that, the location of this phone is always going to be known. And you obviously don't want to lose it. They tell you to always have it, always keep it in your sight, always have it charged, because, again, everybody's going to contact you on this phone. It has the phone number of this, which your supervisors will get. Your supervisors and stuff will text you on here. Everything, again, is going to be through this phone. You're gonna use it for the job all the time, and then obviously when you're done, you're gonna give it back. The supervisor at the training, she did suggest that, well, actually not suggest, she was basically saying, based on who your supervisor is and how they prefer to communicate, that if your supervisor prefers to communicate via telephone, to always follow up with a text so everything is in writing. You know, they want everything physically there in writing to cover you and make sure that everything is being saved and everything is being approved. Which leads me on to my next point. You're not expected to work a full 40 hours. I mean, you can if you want, but the maximum hours that you can work is 40 hours a week or 8 hours a day. There is overtime pay, but you have to contact your supervisor. And again, this is what I was talking about with in text. If you contact your supervisor and say, "Hey, I want to run in some overtime," because again, the overtime needs to be approved. You cannot go over 40 hours or 8 hours a day. If you do, you'll be paid the overtime, but you're going to be fired. Like, the overtime has to be approved. You have to follow the 8 hours a day. You have to do the 40 hours a week. That's just how it is. But again, say you're calling your supervisor, if that's how they prefer, and they say, "Okay, yeah, we approve it," and all that stuff. They suggest to text that supervisor and say, "Just to follow up, we talked about this, this, and this on the phone. And, for example, you said yes that I could do it." That way, it is in writing and it covers you, because with this job, you always need to cover yourself. Simple as that. So we covered the phone, the lanyard, the aid for the technology that you're given. Some of the other stuff they give you, which is kind of self-explanatory, they give you masks. Obviously, this is being done during the COVID-19 pandemic, so always, always, always wear a mask. I get that it, kind of getting political, and some people don't want to wear it. Some people do. Regardless of how you feel on wearing a mask, you must wear a mask. I've been looking on the census Facebook page, and numerous people have been commenting saying, "Hey, this enumerator came to my house. They're not wearing a mask. This is ridiculous." And I've seen at least 50 comments saying that. And that's obviously not a good look for the Census Bureau. It's not a good look for enumerators. You know, obviously during this time, people want to feel safe. And, you know, you have to wear a mask if you're going to someone's house, and then also keep that 6 feet from the door. So you gotta wear a mask. It's just how the job is. So please wear one. We also were given some notice of visit forms. This is basically for you to use. Everything, like every address, is covered under a census ID. You'll learn about this later in your training, but there's PII, which is like personal information, and you do not want to give any personal information about anybody that you meet, addresses, names, whatever. You don't want to give that to anybody. If you have a problem with a house you're seeing, or you visit a house, everything just goes by their census ID, which you'll be filling in. This form is basically if you couldn't reach them, you know, for some odd reason, you couldn't meet the person at the house or something of that, you write down their census ID. And with this, you do not want to put it in a mailbox. I heard that putting this form in a mailbox is illegal, so you can't do that. Just make sure to put it in a discreet location where you know the homeowner or whoever will see it. They also suggested not to put it like right on the door, because, okay, then somebody knows that that person isn't home, and we don't want to, you know, show other people that they're not home. We were also given an information sheet. This is what you give to people when you are interviewing them. This is theirs to keep, and it basically tells you, or tells the person, that their answers are confidential and who to include, and it gives a whole bunch of information on what we're doing, so that saves us time. And then refer back to that sheet. This is specifically for apartment complexes. It's an information sheet for multi-unit managers. You know, if you go into an apartment complex, some people be like, hey, you know, what's this guy walking around? You know, what's he doing loitering on our property? So this is a tip that I was given. If you go on an apartment complex and you don't want to cause a stir, and you shouldn't anyway, but you should always go to the office of the apartment complex first and explain to them what they're doing, so they know why you're there. And potentially, you know, they can say what apartment buildings are vacant, so you don't have to, you know, waste your time and knock on a door, and obviously nobody lives there. But this, again, tells the apartment complex manager, you know, what you're doing, what the census is, what do you need to provide, how long interviews take, again, stuff of that nature. Then we have our clipboard, which comes with some mail forms. This is for you to give to, I think, people who already did it, and they fill out whatever in here, and they give it to their mailbox. And then under this, this contains a whole bunch of, so it says it's basically a statement. It says go to my2020census.gov and select English. It tells them how to fill out the census online in a whole bunch of languages, so nobody's lost. This also contains some other important forms as well, such as if you're in an accident, so an accident report. It also contains, which this is what you need to display on your vehicle to show what you're doing. This does not exempt you from tickets or anything of that, so don't think, you know, you're super special if you have this. You're not going to be exempt from tickets or speeding tickets or red light or anything like that, but this just shows everybody, you know, that you're going to be frequently stopping and that you're using your vehicle for official business. It gives letters. This letter right here is saying why the census is important to, I'm sorry, not important, but why it's mandatory, and that it's covered from the U.S. Constitution. Like, the census is listed in the Constitution, So this again further explains what you're doing and why people need to do it. Again, all forms to help you out, because, you know, we know now with the pandemic, you know, the country's kind of divided right now, and things are tense, you know, not gonna lie, things are tense. So if somebody sees some random person coming up to their house and they want to ask questions, again, all these forms are to help you out and to understand that you're just there, or to help them understand that you're just there to count the people in the house and get information on them, which, again, the census, it helps figure out what federal money should be divvied where, and the help in the state, and how many, you know, seats are needed in the House of Representatives. And it's just a really big thing to help funding, and you don't want to be undercounted. You know, for example, like in 2010, I believe Delaware was severely undercounted, unfortunately, which a lot of money was redirected away from Delaware because, you know, the population wasn't counted correctly as much as it should be. So it's really important to not only on a federal level, but on a state and local level. You know, it helps divert money to you know, to schools and senior living facilities and stuff of that nature, roads. It's just a super important thing that people need to understand, that it's not to hurt you or to intimidate you. It's just, you know, we need this information to help figure out how to divert money in the state and help our communities. So that is that. You also get a bag, which, again, it's suggested that you do walk around with this as well and have this side facing out. So just another thing that people know that you're with the census, what you're doing. You're not just some random person walking around. So you're gonna have this on your side. You're gonna be displaying your badge. And, you know, even when you go up to a house, it was suggested that, yeah, because sometimes people can't see this, you know, they can't see, it's small, they can't really read that, but it was suggested to me that if you go up to a house to actually put up your phone, because they can read this a lot better. They see, okay, Census 2020, you know, you have the official seal of the U.S. Department of Commerce or Bureau of the Census, so they can see this a lot better. To go back to the NOV sheets, which is a notice of visit, one enumerator actually came to our training today. She, I think, has closed like 500 cases, which cases, again, are going to be all through this app. You put your availability, you know, what you're available during the day, which is from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the cases are basically a bunch of addresses and stuff, which I'll show you really quickly. I'll be using the FTC training app, so, you know, no PII is shown. So I'm basically going to show you what the cases look like. And again, it's all password protected in a password that you make. So you just want to make sure that everything is confidential and the right people are accessing the information. So this is what the training app looks like. It's the home page. This isn't, this is basically what the other one looks like, but this is the training one. So you can use this app to train, to get used to it, and nothing's actually official. So when you do go to the official app, you know that's real. So when I say cases, see your case list. It has a whole bunch of addresses that you can do. Again, this is all the training. They have inactive ones, which either you started or attempted, and again, we'll get into that in training. And then dangerous ones, which proceed with caution. You know, you'll have other enumerators will leave a note and say, hey, you know, watch out for this, or something of that nature. And then the cease interview, we don't do. It's too dangerous. But again, when I say cases, this person has closed 500 cases, meaning they got the information that they needed for that. But she did say on the NOV, you can just take this and when you go up to people, some people, they want to give an interview, some don't. But you know, just the basic information you can write on this sheet, saying how many people, you know, the genders. You can quickly get it on here and write it on here rather than going through the phone interview. So that's basically it. That was my take on it. So I'll make sure to update it later, and that's all that I did. See you guys later.